This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean, and Pierre Novellie is with us this morning. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. Good morning.
Morgan.
Now, we have a guest today. We don't often have guests on this show.
Oh, I'd have put my makeup on if I'd have known.
We have, I think we are filming it, so...
I'm glad you gave me a heads up. It won't be like, do you remember Webcam Gate? That was terrible.
Oh, no, yeah, we forgot. They used to film the whole show, Pierre, in the early days. And we sort of forgot about it, because we didn't really do anything visual.
Yeah.
And then Emily said, I need to change my jumper.
We were sent Christmas jumpers by a brand.
So we all had to leave the office so that we didn't see her brassiere. But she forgot that all the webcams was on.
There was a moment Frank pointed out at the end, similar to the ending of Kind Hearts and Coronets. So apologies for any spoiler alerts, but I'm afraid it's been too long now. Where he says, my memoirs. And Frank went, the webcam. It was a terrible moment.
Yeah, and I got a couple of approving messages from people
with
the sort of people who like to watch their radio.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, anyway, that won't be happening again. So yeah, Ian Broudie will be on. Oh, go tell Ian Broudie, go tell Ian Broudie, go tell Ian Broudie, the old grey goose is dead.
Don't call him that.
No, I'm going to tell him about the death of the old grey. Who's going to tell him?
I'm not going to tell him.
Oh, God. If anyone is listening, thoughts with the old grey goose's family, who do get mentioned in the song. I think the goslings are crying and the gander is upset. And I believe her old aunt, I think it might be Rhodey, is it? Anyway, the aunt is making a feather bed thing. So, yeah. I thought they slaughtered these creatures for the feathers, but it turned out in Aunt Rhodey's days, they waited till they had experienced a natural death. And then there were opportunists, quilt-based opportunists.
Who else are your thoughts with, families? Are your thoughts also with Humpty Dumpty's family?
I think he survived.
Oh, did he? I thought they couldn't put him back together again, or is that one of the other ones?
Oh, yeah. I think in the second verse, he has extensive cosmetic surgery. Hey, listen, I went to David Baddiel's house.
Lovely.
On Thursday night at 9:45. Now, I rarely call on people that late, and I can honestly say every time I call on someone after dark, I always say the same thing. Did you send for an exorcist? I always say that when I'm standing at the door. And sure enough, there are certain things there used to be I saw a performance poet, and he told a story about he was selling something, I think, on eBay, or eBay probably didn't exist then, but he was selling it in a local paper, and he was phoned by a Yorkshireman, and this poet was called David. A Yorkshireman called everyone who was called David Davos. It's a Yorkshire thing. And he said he phoned me a few times, and because I live in a student house, different people answered the phone. He said, so when he finally got me, he said, now then, Davos, dost thou live in a commune? And then this performance poet started going, now then Davos, now then Davos, now then Davos, does live in a commune, and got the whole audience to do it. So I used to do that with Dave all the time, drive him insane. Anyway, so I turned up, and the purpose of my visit was for us to watch the new Fantasy Football League.
Oh, that's so adorable. Sans cameras.
Yeah. Yeah. I said we should film this. This would be good on the internet.
Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah. Of us watching it.
Did you instinctively assume your original couch position?
You know, we did exactly that. I didn't realise that till about halfway through, but we sat we always sit in a certain way. Baddiel and Skinner left to right, and Deck always stand in the same way. And Phil and Holly, they were there.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd been there since 7:30. Anyway, I'll tell you what happened.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
We were just talking about the Phil and Holly thing, that we talk about the chair on this show. So someone's in the drinking chair and someone's in the bad temper chair. I don't know if there was anyone in the queue jumping chair before.
No.
I think they've had to have a new chair built.
Yeah.
Well, it's a double, like a kissing chair, when you're facing each other.
Yes. But so unwise to skip a queue, the least British thing, during perhaps the most British day.
Yes.
Such a terrible combo.
Well, we don't know. We're still given the benefit of the doubt that they weren't on some sort of journalistic mission.
The trouble is, it's too funny to not give them the benefit of the doubt.
But, Pierre was saying, I'm trying to get you to say, basically we were talking about how people remember those things forever. That's what one of you mentioned Paddy Ashdown, the former Liberal, and as soon as you said it, I thought, he was in the SAS. It was like the thing that was said about him. Can you tell your Paddy Ashdown? Because this is a very good example.
I think it was a young Paddy Ashdown canvassing around for Liberal votes, and he came across a cottage with an ancient woman in it who refused to vote for the Liberals because they'd abandoned Gordon in Khartoum, which is a Victorian military campaign.
Exactly. And
from
the
the 1800s.
film with Chuck Heston.
Oh,
playing General Gordon. But my dad wouldn't vote Labour because his reason was if you put a beggar on horseback, they'll ride into hell. Now, this is not something you hear on many party political broadcasts. But that was it. His idea was that we, us poor people, we didn't know. We couldn't govern.
But, if the current, if Liz Truss came out with that, it wouldn't be the worst thing she's come out with.
Incredibly.
Be a poetic turn for her.
I think she
has my support.
Do you know, I think
it was a trust joke.
We got it. Frank, I think that would be a great slogan for the great party political broadcast.
Yeah, they should go. They should go for it. There was another one he used to say, which is... Anyway, I can't remember the other one.
Frank, when you said that you were showing up at David Baddiel's house at 9:45 p.m, the level of specificity was such that I thought, here we go, an alibi.
Yes. It really does sound that.
Why else would you?
Anyway, we got settled down to watch Fantasy Football League.
I need a little bit more detail. Did he make you tea? How does it work with you two? Does he say cup of tea or...?
Well, actually, Moena, he's... I'm going to call her his good lady wife.
1952?
She made tea, yeah.
I won't
Dave
watch
was
the
too
football.
tense.
I'll make you gentlemen some beverages.
So we set ourselves down a bit. I felt a bit like, how Sir Alex Ferguson likes to sit in the stands at Man United games. And whenever the camera cuts to him, he's talking to a bloke next to him. And you think, I know what you're saying. Something derogatory, you just know. Anyway, we sat down and we watched it. In case you don't know, Fantasy Football League, which is something that me and David Baddiel used to do in the 90s and beyond, I think, is now hosted by new people.
Making a mention of new people.
Yes, it was Reese and Matt are doing it now. And
Ellis, isn't it? Oh
no, sorry, Ellis
James,
sorry, I get the Welsh comics mixed up. I thought it was Max Boyce. Anyway, the truth was it was good.
Was it?
There's no getting around it. Now, I'm not saying...
That's annoying, sorry.
No, you know what? We did like it, and it was quite a nice thing. I'm not saying if it had been terrible, we wouldn't have liked that, because we would have liked it, but in a different way. So we came out liking it, and I didn't wake up in the night thinking, I feel better about that. Feel bad about the fact that So it was good. We laughed. And also...
and we love those two. I do.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
And they've got a Stato who does jokes, which we never thought of that.
Well, when you say you never thought of it, that's his verboten.
But No, it was good. I got to say, it was good. You should check it out. I can't believe I got Ellis's name wrong. You'll never forgive me.
It's all right.
No. Oh, man. There is a Rhys James, isn't there?
Yes, there is, yeah.
Oh, well, I'm 65.
Exactly. Yeah.
God, if I was old enough to remember stuff like that, I'd still be doing it.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Okay, so what's your feeling on advertising? Can you ever think of an example of advertising which really has drawn you in and made you buy something or do something? Because I had an experience recently when I always felt that advertising sort of washes over me. But someone said to me about TV advertising that if you think TV doesn't have an influence on people, try and get a snooker table during the World Championships on the telly, and you just can't. And I think it's the same with tennis courts during Wimbledon.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I saw an advert for Monster Munch. And it said that Monster...
How were the 70s?
No, this is recent. It's a recent campaign.
Do give them my love.
No, this is a very modern campaign because it says Monster Munch, each packet less than 100 calories. And I thought, hold on, is that all that you get in a packet of... I felt like I'd been given some fabulous free pass to junk food. Since then, I can honestly say I have eaten more Monster Munch in the last 3 weeks than I've eaten in my whole life. I just think, wow, this is just, it won't do any harm.
So all it took was for someone to sort of say that Monster Munch is harmless.
Yeah, well, they didn't actually say that.
No.
I mean, I don't know what else is in Monster Munch. I'll wait for that campaign to come up. But no, so that's my snack food of choice now.
I'm trying to think of the last time I was really sort of credulously absorbed by an advert, but I'm not sure. But certainly there are some jingles from childhood that are stuck in my head forever. That's definitely true.
I think I definitely... It influenced what drink I first started ordering, alcoholic beverage, when I was old enough. And I can remember I'd heard of Cinzano because of Joan Collins, who featured in... I think it was in the 70s or 80s.
With Leonard Rossiter.
Very good, right?
Yeah.
And the sort of... The narrative of the ad was them on a plane, and did he keep repeatedly spilling alcohol over her?
Yeah, I think there were different ones. It was one of these. But every time he spilled, so he would say, "Oh my God," and all that stuff, and then she'd be appalled by him just generally, and then he'd spill Cinzano Bianco on it.
Yeah, it was Cinzano. But I remember it was the way, and I thought Joan Collins was just my idol, and I thought, I'd love to order that in a bar when I go in. And I can say it like her and say, I'll have a Cinzano Bianco, please.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm like in the local news agents now with Monster Munch.
Did you specify a flavour, Frank? I do apologise if I forget.
If anyone says to me, like with crisps or something, what flavour do you want? I will occasionally, if I'm feeling fussy, I'll say not barbecue. Because I think barbecue tastes a bit like back of the fridge dust.
Yeah.
But do you say that to the vendor? Because I find it helps to be more specific.
No, I say any. In pubs and that, I'll say any, just choose a flavour and I'll eat it. They hate that.
Yeah.
They're not paid to make decisions.
Well, can you guess what I say when I ask for crisps?
Go on.
Well, I think you might. I mean...
Oh, no cheese or chive or onion.
Yeah. Yeah. So is it the pickled onion? Do you favour that one? The Monster Munch?
I just honestly, I don't even know what colours they are. I just know there's less than 100 calories.
You just spin the roulette wheel.
Yeah, what they've done with their calories is their business. I don't know what flavour they've concocted from them. Is fine, but look at me. I'm slim as a rake, and I'm living on Monster Munch virtually. They call me M&M now locally.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
A lot of our readers very excited that Ian Broudie is coming in.
Oh, go tell Ian Broudie.
Ian Rotson, Eamon Dolan, he's coming home. Lucky you.
Very
People
fabulous.
are thrilled. He's popular lad.
I should damn well hope so. I was reading about. You know, he's been
forgiven him since Gordon and Cartoon.
yeah, exactly. He should have done that. He should have done more. I don't think he's quite that old here, but we'll find out. We'll ask him if he was involved in Cartoon. In any
I
way.
wouldn't if I were you.
Have we heard from Alfresco?
Yes, we have, Pierre.
Alfresco de Monde.
We have 6002 text in saying, just Googled Pierre to put a face to a voice. Fortunately, he looks just like my mate Tim from the pub, so it's quite easy. Martin.
Oh, that's good, isn't it?
Oh, what do you think? Oh, I hope Tim's nice looking.
Tim,
What do you mean?
Yeah.
How could he not be?
Well caught, Frank.
Thanks very much.
nice.
I juggled it a bit, but I got there. Out else? Is that out else?
Well, it's a lot of people. I mean, I have to say, Ian's a popular lad, Frank. I mean,
Maybe we should have. People are just glad we've got a guest just for a bit of, just a break from it all.
Do you think people wish we did have guests?
I don't know. We should have a vote on whether we should have guests. The trouble is, if you have guests every week, you end up having rubbish guests.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You'll
so I
eventually-
think you just have ones you like. I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Never commit. It's my motto. Not actually my motto, but you never know.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way. Oh, sorry.
No, go on,
No. Ladies first.
Bravo. We've heard from Martin Cheek.
Oh, yes.
Hi, Frank, Emily, and hopefully Pierre. I love that Richard Curtis film.
Yeah.
Knowing how much you like museums and exhibitions, I thought you might like to hear about the Small Films exhibition currently showing at the Canterbury Museum. And what I like is that small films is in little marks, little quote marks.
Okay.
It features artwork from all the Small Film series, including Nog in the Nog, which was inspired by your old friends, the Lewis Chess set
Yes.
pieces.
Yes. It's also a very good programme in its own right.
Yes. But also, the other reason Martin Cheek's getting in touch is that Oliver Postgate lived in Broadstairs.
Oliver Postgate was the brains behind Noggin the Nog.
Oh.
Where I currently abide.
Broadstairs, okay.
When he died, we were able to get a blue plaque for his former house.
Plaque?
I know, should I say plaque? I don't like plaque.
I didn't know even posh people said plaque.
I don't think they do.
Okay.
His partner commissioned me to make a mosaic of the clangers to accompany the plaque.
What?
The plaque.
I didn't know that Martin Cheek was a mosaicist. Okay.
See, attached. You've got a lovely image of it.
I think he did the Humpty Dumpty mosaic that followed him falling off the wall.
The surgeon.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think this might be someone you'll get on as well. In a previous life, I had the opportunity to animate the clangers.
What? Well, they were animated, weren't they?
I used to be a puppet. Yeah. And this
Oh, we
person,
worked on-
Martin Cheek animated the clangers.
That's my message to Martin Cheek.
But Martin says, because we've talked about puppets a lot, the puppets were a bit crotchety. I love that
What do you
expression.
mean, ill-tempered?
They're not musical.
Divas.
Not having moved for many years.
Oh, they had got the originals out there.
But I managed to get them to perform to the satisfaction of the BBC producer.
Okay. What about
Okay.
the soup dragon? What was he like? Did you meet Draculus on your noggin shoot?
A tell-all memoir.
Oh, that would be great about the Postgate years. You could call it Postgate Gate.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
You may be familiar with Ruth Jordan, who's one of our regular correspondents. Firstly, Ruth says she's got a question for Ian when he comes in. Maybe we'll save that
okay.
up. Ruth also has pointed out something which hadn't even occurred to me. I think it's a fabulous point. Did Martin Cheek mean the clangers' puppets were crotchety or crochet?
Ah.
So perhaps I mispronounced it.
Yeah,
Maybe it was a
because-
crochet reference.
Because maybe if you're doing a mosaic of something that's been crocheted, it's quite hard to get the texture with on tile.
Yes, without a sort of infinitely small number of little bits of mosaic.
Oh,
bits
God,
of
you
tile.
don't want it. it's not worth it for the I mean, God bless the clangers, but
Whilst we're on the crochet,
yeah,
which we are now,
yeah.
I found myself Googling something this week and I thought, how extraordinary. I was Googling strawberry cardigan crochet pattern and I realised I wanted to make myself a strawberry cardigan.
But you're going to knit it or crochet it?
Crochet it, I thought. I
That won't
Googled it.
happen. Can I just say that won't
I
happen?
don't think it will, but what was difficult, Frank, was that as I was Googling it, I thought I've gone so far beyond the point at which this is cool and ironic, the crochet and the knitting. It's all right for these Tom Daley young ones. It's all, isn't it cool?
Yeah.
They do knitting. At this stage, it's...
No, there's no irony left
It's
if you
no
do
irony.
it now.
It's getting a little...
That's just a
Emily knows help is on its way.
middle-aged woman knitting.
I'm afraid it is. In the same way that I can't eat Werther's Originals anymore.
No, I can.
It comes to us all, Pierre. It doesn't feel like it will. It does.
Yeah.
No more crocheting once you get to a certain age, dear.
Well, I've had to get rid of all my beige. Oh, yes.
Well, you know, you can still get them at the I Have Given Up shop, which is, I
Yes.
favour.
Well, of course, you absolutely do. Can I say, Emily's wearing a fabulous cardigan today. And she came in and said, what do you think of this cardigan? Facing me. And I said, I love that cardigan. It looks really classy. It's got a sort of English cricket. It's got covered buttons, which is it's my favourite button.
Yeah.
And then she turned around with something which maybe we'll put up
Or
on
maybe
our
we
social
should
media,
save
but,
it as the big reveal.
Yeah.
But on the subject of clothing, I'm wearing a jacket today, which I have had for I've had it for 15 years anyway. And I can honestly say I've never decided whether it's a terrible jacket or a sort of brilliant jacket.
I'll tell you.
Thanks. Well, I'm thinking of posting it, and perhaps we'll hold your opinion a little, because you're a bit of an influencer. Aren't you one of those influencers? You an influencer, Pierre?
Are you?
I don't think so.
I'm an affluencer.
You know what I think is they have micro and macro influences.
Do they really?
Yeah.
So people who influence people who go to macro, the wholesale market. I hope there are people who do that. No, I'm going to put up a picture. I genuinely would like to know. My partner, I have to say, hates it.
Does she?
And of course, being Kath, she says things like it's the worst jacket she's ever seen in her life. She's unable to have any sort of nuanced response to anything. But I'd love to love it. But it's...
In fairness, something being the worst thing someone's ever seen is quite a thing in itself. I mean...
Yeah, but would you want to be wearing it?
I'd definitely keep it on that basis.
Yeah, well, I'd sell it to the...
I'm worried about how to
the
compose...
Worst Thing Museum.
Oh, I'd love a word. Why doesn't Kath set that up? I'd be a partner.
She would be good.
The Worst Things Ever Museum.
Don't send in things that should be. Let's keep life positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to know if anyone like me has been really influenced by advertising in the past.
Yeah.
I've been monster munched, and it's all right. Didn't mind it.
Well, there's that Henry Ford quote: "Half my money I spend on advertising is wasted. I just wish I knew which half."
Oh, that is a cool. Can I
do you
say,
like we were like the two slightly
that was good.
the less intelligent friends in the room?
Yeah.
It took us about 2
was sort of
seconds.
sick,
We were with a really clever post and we went,
Oh. Can I say, by the way, a big thank you this morning to my phone, which is still looking, apparently. I never asked. He's still looking for possible exposures on my behalf. I have no idea why. I just keep getting this message up. So if there's any flashes out there, watch out.
Oh, God.
My phone's after you.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novellie. Ian Broudie will be joining us from 10 a.m. But presumably now we've put a time on it, which is always a mistake when you're on the decade channels. It'll be 11, won't it? I said that as if it was a casual observance. Of course, it was a reprimand, dressed up as a casual observance. Nevertheless. So, yes, you can text our show on 8 12 15. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show, free, brackets, via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
Frank?
Ho.
I think it's fair to say people have quite strong opinions on the jacket you're wearing this morning.
Can I establish, I put up a picture of a jacket that I own, and I know people, on radio, there's a lot of desperate characters on radio, and they're trying all sorts of things for textings and stuff. But this is something I genuinely want to know what the word on the street is on this jacket. I cannot decide. And that's honestly from the heart. I'm not doing this just as some sort of comic contrivance.
Yeah.
I don't know where to begin, so I will anyway. Vicky Purves, it's the shade. Looks like caramel shortcake.
Is that a bad thing? Blonde chocolate? My favourite.
Blondie. I'm not passing any judgment. Someone else has compared the shade to woven earwax.
Oh. Man.
Justin of Earlwood.
Yeah.
One of my favourite titles. Justin of Earlwood. Sorry, it just keeps making me laugh.
Isn't Earlwood one of the Blues Brothers?
Justin of Earlwood, he looks like the seat of a Triumph stag.
Is that about the jacket or just me?
No, because the Triumph stag, I think, there was a specific colour to the seat, which I can remember. It's a sort of brown.
I thought it was just had a very thin neck, so I'm giving my head a sort of headrest.
A lot of people, including Mandy Tame Wellborn, thanks for the tip.
Yeah.
It's a bit Bodie and Doyle. A lot of people making Bodie and Doyle references.
Doyle,
you would have looked
course.
ace in 1977.
A lot of people, both positive and negative sides of the aisle, making a Starsky and Hutch reference as well. But
Okay.
some in a very...
No, Bodie and Doyle was the Professionals.
No, but also Starsky and Hutch.
Oh,
We're
okay.
getting all the duos.
There's no cop show uncovered.
Yes, yeah.
Here, okay. Every cop show has been thrown in.
Would
the
you
mix.
say, generally speaking, it was positivity or negativity?
I
would rather not say.
Oh,
Claire Cowley says, no income tax, no guarantee. That's her.
oh, really? That's a very good way of putting it.
Yeah, that made me laugh.
And also, of course, could be the current government's mantra. Oh, man. Oh, does it look like that?
I've seen it before.
Oh, well, you have seen it before, because I suppose you have done. Because occasionally I'll have 2 or 3 days where I think, no, actually, I do like it, and then I'll lose my nerve.
Look, the important thing is you like it.
Well, no, that
Says
isn't
no
it.
one ever in the fashion industry.
No, but also I'm not sure I do. That's my problem. I think it's one of the rare. You know when I said I bought Monster Munch on the strength of an advert.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
They come in the pocket of that jacket.
I've said Monster Munch a lot this morning. Don't send me any free Monster Munch or anything. I can afford Monster Munch.
No.
Just because I'm not doing fantasy football, don't think I can't get my own snacks.
Stretch to your jacket.
I'll show you. I'll reveal to you guys. I did some label purchasing, right? And
Oh dear.
yeah, so here's the label. I'm showing them the label.
says-
It's a big E and a big A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Mean anything to you?
Eamon Andrews.
Yes, Eamon Andrews wore this jacket. I remember the valley of the shifting, whispering sands when I was visiting one of the northern states. Yes. In case you don't know Eamon Andrews, he did one of the best things that ever happened in boxing commentaries. He commentated on amateur boxing night on the television. Used to be a lot of ABA stuff in those days. He commentated on the first 2 fights, and then he fought in the third one and commentated on the fourth one. Anyway, it's EA Emporio Armani.
Is it?
Yeah, who'd have thought?
Not me.
So it's got the label. I'm not sure if it's got the style.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I saw an interesting survey done. Now, there's some surveys you see in the paper and you think, why would anyone bother to do that? But I saw one that was, I thought, actually, this is interesting. It's all about, I suppose, how we judge ourselves. And firstly, to thine own self be true, as Polonius said in Hamlet.
Yes.
And they asked a series of adults here and in the United States how they'd fancy the chances against various members of the animal kingdom.
Fighting, you mean?
Yeah, fighting.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I say, before we go any further, my money's on Pierre all the way, Frank. But all of these battles, every animal he would beat.
If there was a wild animal in the corridor, it'd be Pierre who went out, certainly. Also, he's from Africa, so,
He understands
wild animal,
how they operate.
We don't.
My dream is to live up to the sort of Crocodile Dundee idea that I've got some kind of...
FYI, someone just compared your coat to the sort of thing, Crocodile Dundee's sofa. Anyway, back to you.
Okay, well, at least he's not crocodile skin. I hope not. Crocodile Dundee. I'd fancy... the crocodile was one of the animals listed, and I think you've always got a chance with a crocodile because of the...
Don't be silly.
The stick tactic. You know that?
Yes.
When you see people have wedged the stick in the crocodile's mouth so it can't close its jaws. Now, I don't know where this originates from. I've seen it in many different manifestations.
Yeah.
So I think if you're in crocodile country, maybe sport a cane would be a good idea. And as soon as a crocodile approaches, once it's wedged in, you can mock it to your heart's content.
Because crocodiles, they're the real demons, because alligators aren't quite so bad. They're
Is that
smaller.
right?
Yeah, I think crocodiles, they're the real satanic
Frightening ones,
yeah. Alligators are less aggressive, I believe.
Really? I thought that was just an allegation.
No, because there was a specific Australian camp. It was after I left. It was called Crocwise. Be Crocwise.
Okay.
That's what you get. Yeah. But crocodiles are definitely worse. I seem to recall. Anyway,
I do know that. I'm pretty sure it's crocodiles, but the force of their bite is in the down motion. That's where all the muscle is, and to open their mouth, they just use sort of almost one small tendon. So you could hold their mouth shut with a index finger and thumb.
Really?
You see, Frank, this is what we need on board with us.
Yeah.
He knows all the technicalities.
What I need is one of those clips that you put on packets of pasta and stuff to keep it. When the crocodile approaches, got to put the clip on the end and then back in the cupboard.
Yes, and they'll be fresh.
Don't you? I don't want them fresh. I don't want them anything.
Box fresh crocodile tongue. I don't know if people eat that today.
Do you know there have been instances where people have befriended them? Now, and you've heard of things like, he stayed loyal to this croc keeper for years and it was a lovely relationship. Is it, though? How could you ever trust them again? I could never open up my heart to them.
There was a man somewhere in the north of England and they found a crocodile. And I think it was some sort of wild, like a dingo or something, in his flat, which he'd been keeping them as pets. And he said when he was questioned, he said in the paper, he said, I love that. I've loved that crocodile. It's very special to me. And I always thought that poor dingo must have read that and thought, not a mention. I've lived in a council flat in the north with him and a crocodile, and now the truth is out. Horrible.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
We were talking about people fighting other species.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is all hypothetical. amongst British men, I think I've got this statistic correct. I'm just including men. They did include women in the survey.
Yeah.
But 1 in 5 British men feel that they could beat a chimpanzee in a hand-to-hand combat.
1 in 5?
Yeah.
That's too hard. Do you think they're thinking of the PG Tips chimps?
No, yes, I think...
Well...
It's so polite. I think I could get them.
Well-
There's 1 in 10, is it, Frank? Or maybe that's women.
I think that's including women.
Oh, just the men.
Just the men, it's 1 in 5. And that
Be
is-
honest, Frank. What would your chances be? Be
Well,
totally honest.
As someone who doesn't drink, I'm a bit wary of taking them on. If they'd asked me in the old days, I'd have said, yeah, I'll have two chimps. You can always, of course, if things are going bad with the chimp, you can also suddenly slap their bomb, and it works like the buzzer on Britain's Got Talent. The whole thing stops immediately.
The thing is,
I would be... well, let me quote Jan Gayron, I think is her name. And I'm presuming it's a lady, Jan.
Oh, I thought it was a Danish man or something.
And she works... What would it make? She works for the Wales Ape and Monkey Sanctuary.
Busy, are we?
Yeah. When I say Wales, I mean the country of Wales. It's not like a sanctuary which include. They didn't sit around and say, like, we got an enormous. We got 1 enormous tank and 9 cages. Any ideas? Anybody?
They're all mammals, aren't they?
Exactly. Wales wasn't on the list, actually, whether you could. Anyway, she was told that all these people, some women, but a great many men think they could beat a chimpanzee. And she said they would stand no chance. That was the first thing. Bit disloyal, Jan, if you don't mind me saying. If this escalates into out-and-out warfare, I think Jan will have to be imprisoned.
In a Planet of the Apes style scenario, she's a potential collaborator.
She is. Exactly. Yeah, treason. This is treason, Jan.
I'm struggling to move on from bit disloyal, Jack.
I think it is. You know.
I'm disloyal to your species.
Anyway, this is what she said. She said, chimps. One thing she said, which I don't altogether agree with. She says people forget that chimps can bite. I had not forgotten that. My first thought of fighting a chimp was, worried about the teeth element.
Well, unless you arrange for them to get veneers or something.
Well,
they get very bad fangs.
Do they really?
Have you not seen the fangs? They don't show you those in the PG Tips.
No.
Very cruel.
They do those. It's that thing when they open their mouths very wide and go, and then you get it.
Very, the cheapest way, of course, would be to send the chimps to Turkey for turkey teeth. That's the only way you could really.
The sort of only wears Essex veneers.
Yes, yeah.
This is
TV-ready
what,
chimps.
But let me quote her. She says, chimps go for the eyes and then the hands.
Do they?
That's what they do. I found if you fight school children, they tend to go head and shoulders, knees and toes. But they all have their tactics.
Yeah.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Ruth Jordan, talking about the chimp's teeth reminded me of Frank's brilliant story of a horse biting him in slow motion. I know that wasn't strictly a fight against another species, but I think it's fair to say Frank did lose.
Yes, I did. And I noticed, I don't think horses were on the list for this. I don't think anyone had really fancied their chances taking on a horse.
Well,
maybe Mongo in Blazing Saddles, who, if you remember, hits a horse on the chin and knocks it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I fancy my chances against an elephant. Now,
that's a mistake. I think you've got that. You've misjudged that.
I'll tell you why. It's not. I'm not strictly. I'm not talking about sort of combat here. I think you could reason with these people because I feel they're very intelligent and they're innately quite decent. So you could maybe... I think they're quite conflict avoidant. I think you could talk them down from the fight. Yeah. Forget about that with the crocodile. Do you see what I
you
mean?
need is a mouse in a small box. But, yeah.
Is that, if any elephants, is that an urban myth?
I don't know.
Any elephant trainers?
I was once allowed into an elephant house by what I would call a rogue keeper. Well, I was impressed by what was then, I might call my celebrity, and I was let in with my girlfriend at the time.
You used your celebrity for.
Yeah, well, he offered. I didn't go and ask.
He offered you what he had.
Yeah,
which is access to an elephant.
Access to the elephant
Did he
house.
come up to you on the street?
No,
Was he sort of like
I was at the zoo.
evil character in Dumbo.
I won't say which zoo. I was looking at, and he came over and said, "Oh, Frank Skinner, blah blah blah. Do you want to go in?"
Well, that's some sort of elephant
Yeah.
tout.
So we went in, and the elephants surrounded us, and they got closer and closer. I could feel the tree bark like trunks of them,
Yeah.
and it started to get a bit frightening. So I foolishly thought I'd just be able to push them back, and they wouldn't move, and they were getting in closer and closer. My girlfriend at the time was becoming very alarmed, as was I, and we could hear this bloke going, "Grr, grr," and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, no.
And eventually a small gap formed and we scampered out, but my God, the pulses in my neck were throbbing. The moral of this story is I wouldn't take on the elephants if I was you. They're very good at standing their ground. That's their speciality.
I know. I cannot think of anything that could be that Pierre couldn't defeat. I honestly think, Frank, I would fancy Pierre's chances with a cheetah, lion, gorilla.
I know, but I think you've got hand-to-hand combat mixed up with a pub quiz.
Yes.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We were talking about man v chimp.
I have to admit.
I mean humankind v chimp.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have to admit, embarrassingly, given the jokes about me taking on wild animals.
You have fought one.
No, but my uncle.
There we go.
I remember during that song, I went, oh, hang on. My uncle Peter has chased a lion away in his life.
Can you give him my number?
Yes.
Was he armed?
He was armed with a car jack
Oh,
that he waved above his head.
Can I say I'm
wow.
obsessed by Uncle Peter?
Yeah.
Oh, carrying a car jack round with
Well,
him?
You sure it wasn't a Jaguar?
Frank, that deserves something. A little something. A horn, I'll accept anything. Something.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll. What about this?
There we go.
We took it quite far there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if the window opens.
Yes.
So, what
Happened, and what was the upshot of
Also, what clothes was he wearing at the time?
Ooh.
pith helmet?
Yeah.
I'm seeing a safari
Khaki
bob down,
shorts?
bob down safari jacket.
I'm hoping a sort of quick fitter overalls.
Get out of here. Get out of the garage.
I'm hoping it's your classic safari.
It probably wasn't far off that. I'm not sure, actually. For clarity and context.
Yes.
My uncle Peter was an ecologist,
My uncle Peter married Sue Pollard.
and you've got to you've got to earn your ecologist PhD by, in his case, endlessly tracking a particular antelope.
Oh,
Is he a bit Indiana Jones parents?
Uncle Peter.
Yeah. Doesn't mean I see him in a study, Frank.
So
He learns languages for fun, so I don't know how much of a natural adventurer he is.
So
in that
Uncle
sense.
Peter
Yeah.
picked an antelope and then followed that for a long period.
This is a while ago, but even in those days they managed to sort of put radio trackers on animals and kind of follow their migration patterns.
So just follow that one animal.
This animal was the main one. Yeah, these trackers were
Wow.
quite expensive. As part of a herd, it wasn't a
Yeah.
particularly individualistic creature.
No, it's not, because there was that ecologist Vlad the Impala who just followed one. I'm sorry.
Frank, if you had to follow one animal, which one would you pick, do you think?
I think the bear.
Do you?
No, not the bear. This is an advert called Follow the Bear, in case anyone... I know you know. You know everything. What if I was going to follow one animal?
For knowledge's sake or for fun?
Well,
like
just-
following a band.
Or just what animal, if you've got to sort of join it on its adventures, essentially. You've got to
maybe.
think about where you'd like to be, what Because also you're getting involved in its social life as well.
Meeting its
Urban
friends.
Fox would be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe
what,
a
hanging out in
curl
the
you, then you get
bins?
international travel.
Yes. The narwhal.
Oh, the narwhal. They're too. I imagine they're quite spiky.
Frank, I just want to quickly share this with you. I'm weighing up whether we've got the time.
Okay.
I'm going to go quickly, okay?
Okay.
Frank, I was in a team meeting at work. I live in Paris, and as it often happens when there's an English-speaking person in the attendees, the French speak English. At the end of the meeting, instead of the usual adieu, the guy said, "If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week." I whooped and clapped, then noticed the absolute confusion on my co-workers' faces. You know, when you're the only person getting the joke and you're like, come on. Am I the only one who got that? I later Skyped the guy and said, "I see what you did there." We laughed and he said, "I've been saying this for years and you're the first one to get the reference." And there was a lot of praise for Frank in there that I've redacted. Well done, Frank and team. Les Français vous écoutons.
Nice. I love it when you talk French. Do you remember that in the original Addams Family?
Yes.
That was a great bit.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
We have Ian Broudie with us. Now, if this was Steve Wright in the Afternoon, a great show that shouldn't have been removed, everyone would do this. This is what you do when you get a guest on. And when I was a guest on there, I would applaud as well, just to thicken it up.
Yeah.
Ian, it's great to see you.
Hello, it's lovely to be here.
And
in
you're
this beautiful place.
I think of you now, all in black with the shades. You've gone very Roy Orbison in later life.
Do you know what? If there's one thing you were going to go in later life, you'd want it to be Roy Orbison.
Yes.
You know, I'll take that. You know?
Oh man! When I have recorded with Ian in the past, and there is a thing. I don't know if I've ever said this, but like me and David Baddiel are singing, and you know, and then Ian sings a bit, and you just think, oh, it's great when you hear the proper guys do it. And I was looking at your press release, and this is what it says: that Ian has been a professional musician for 33 years.
Wow.
Did you know that?
I didn't know that, no.
You
I
almost
must check that out, actually.
I know how it is with you musicians. Do you remember any of those years?
Yeah, it does feel like I'm comfortable in the role now. It took me a little bit of a while to be. I never think of myself as a musician. I've always thought of myself as a writer, someone who writes and then figures out how to play it in the, eventually kind of thing. I'm not, because musician gives the impression that you're, a master of your art there, you know what I mean? But
I don't know. There's a lot of people calling themselves comedians that you wouldn't put in that category. So I've never asked you about how you started out. Was it the classic sort of start a band, buy a van, bang around?
kind of. I mean, it was a bit of a strange beginning, actually. So I was, I had a guitar and I wanted to be a musician in a band. And I suppose, and I don't know why I had my guitar with me, but it was a rainy day in Liverpool, and I was wandering around an area of the city was then quite deserted, which was Matthew Street, where the Cavern was.
Oh God, this is like a movie, isn't it? It's raining. Ian's got his guitar cases next to the Cavern,
It was pretty much deserted. It was like a waste ground and cobbled streets, and I just came across this warehouse, and it did kind of change my life. And there was a warehouse, and on the side of it was written, "The Liverpool School of Music, Dream, Art and Pun." And I was kind of standing, I thought, what is that, And this Irish guy was outside, and he said, "Why don't you come in and have a cup of tea?" And I was like, "Are you allowed to do that?" He said, "Yeah." So I went in, and there was a guy called Ken Campbell.
Oh God, yeah.
And he was...
Is that the director?
Yeah. Well, he was a performer as well. Very important, independent theatre guy.
And he decided, and it was in the golden age of the everyman in Liverpool, where a lot of kind of actors who did pretty well were there. And I kind of went in, and he decided he wanted to stage a play outside London and not in a theatre. And he thought this warehouse, and they'd opened this warehouse kind of in the hope that it would just be a creative space. And he decided he was going to do a play called the Illuminatus Trilogy. And by the time I kind of left there, I was in the play as the guitar player in the play, and the stage manager was a guy called Bill Drummond, and then I ended up in a band with Bill and a girl called Jane who was there, and so it sort of, I suddenly went into this weird world that I'm yet to come out of, really.
Yeah, I never knew that. And Ken Campbell was very alternative, and he worked with Sylvester McCoy and stuff. In the days when Sylvester McCoy's act included him knocking a 6-inch nail up his nostril. He didn't ask you to...
make me do that.
We're going to play... on Absolute Radio, not on our Decade channels for various reasons I won't go into. We're going to play your new single, which we'll talk about after. This is The Lightning Seeds with, wait for it, Emily Smiles.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I once went round your house, Ian, and you'd got an enormous box set of Beach Boy stuff. I think would it be Pet Sounds or...
Pet Sounds from every possible angle, I think.
Yeah, there was... And Ian was playing this, and it was just these voices going... "Ah!" And there was nothing else on it. It was just that sort of outtake. And when I heard this single, I thought... It definitely stuck, didn't it, there? Because it's got that Beach Boys feel, would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit obsessed with all those Beach Boys tapes for a couple of years, you know, and I do love the sound of harmonies, you know. I love doo-wop, really, and I love all those...
You must love working with me and Dave.
Yeah.
Frank, can I ask a question? I hope this isn't awkward for you. Ian, be completely honest. I feel you will, because you're a Scouser. What did you... When you first heard Frank and David sing, was it sort of one of those moments where you're mentally thinking, OK, I can work with him. What was your impression of their voices?
I thought it was going to be great, honestly. I thought it was going to be great. And they were very different, you know.
Yeah, they were.
And so, yeah, I suppose, you know, I would have had my producer hat on, and I would have thought, you know, this is going to... And, you know, I can sit this there and I can sit this there. And I haven't changed my mind. It was great, and they sound great.
See?
I find that quite touching, that answer.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't true, but it was touching. Now, Emily Smiles, you wrote with Terry Hall from The Specials.
Yeah.
How do you find co-writing? You know, W.H. Auden said when you co-write anything, it's like being on a tandem. You always think you're the one who's doing most of the peddling.
That's a good quote, that.
Yeah. Was it... Is it all right? Is it easy going?
Well, I'm doing most of the peddling, you know.
But how does it work out? Did you sit in a room, or do you send...
Yeah. No, I don't really... I find I can only really co-write with people I know in general. I like to know someone. And we sat around a couple of times for a couple of afternoons and sang it on the acoustic and talked about what it would be and sort of ended up, you know, with the lyric.
And did you agree, generally?
Yeah, I think we agreed to change things.
Okay.
You know, so you must have that with David. You know, you sort of... You agree, but then you kind of agree to change something.
Yeah, when we had a rule when we used to write together that if someone said, no, I really don't like that, you had to leave it. You couldn't really argue back. But I'm not saying there wasn't a lot of bubbling resentment. But, you know. So Emily Smiles is from your new album.
It is.
Which is called See You in the Stars.
Yeah.
And it's out on October the 14th. I've heard it. I've had a bit of a preview, I'll be honest with you. And I'll tell you something, and I emailed you about this. It was incredibly... we've all got COVID now from Ian Broudie. It's very uplifting. The whole thing is unashamedly positive, which is not always that popular in popular music, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think it's hard to do that. It's easier some ways to write a softer song, you know what I mean, or a sad song, although it's quite hard to write a sad song that's uplifting. But I think it's a bit more challenging because if you try and write something positive and up, you can slip into vacuous or, you know, a bit trite, you know. So it's a bit of a minefield. So it's kind of a challenge, I think, to get something that's up but not.
Can I just say, I think 3 Lions is an example of a song that is sad, a sad song that is uplifting. Thank you.
Bittersweet.
You're
Well,
witness.
bittersweet,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the Broudie brand. But what I'm saying is,
More
it's
bitter than
sort
sweet,
of.
but-
Well, I suppose what I mean is, it's sort of cynicism free. The album is what I felt, which is, I found that uplifting. I mean,
I wanted it to be quite open and quite direct. I think sometimes I can get a bit shy when I'm doing my own albums, and sort of like say something and then cover it up a little bit with a bit of music or something. And I felt I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to be more direct and, yeah, I mean, hopefully what you said, open.
well, I'll tell you what I said. I said it sounds like Buddy Holly would have sounded if he'd lived long enough to be influenced by the Beatles.
It's the nicest thing anyone's ever said about anything I've ever done.
Well, let's stick with that.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Has anyone ever charted what's the most popular name in the world and then put that in a song so that to sell lots of copies?
It's probably not a bad idea.
Write
I
it down.
haven't. I
Write
know
it down. Write it down. No, he could have. You know, when Robbie Williams did "Let Me Entertain You," you thought surely he's done that, so it'll be over montages of various things on the
What, on
telly.
This Morning or something?
Of course, you had that. You had Life of Riley was used on Match of the Day for ages.
It was, but it wasn't. It was at the time. It really suited it, but it was at first. Because obviously it was written about waiting for Riley to be born, and then finished off when he was born. So it couldn't have been further away from football, really. But it was great when they used it.
Was that when a goal is born?
Sorry,
When a goal
yes,
is born.
Have you considered?
very similar. Like when you score it.
Yeah, the build-up,
Yeah.
a bit of movement, bit of action. Then and then there's
Gloves.
a massive celebration, cigars all around.
Yeah.
And life begins. Yes.
Have you considered writing a song about gradually getting better at boxing
Gradually getting
Why?
better.
for montages?
Oh,
You get a lot of use out of
yes,
that.
of course.
Hang on, we could write a song later. We could get the most popular name.
Yeah.
Every sport. Yeah.
So,
Frank, this is a bit awkward, but I do need to ensure that we ask Ian's opinion on something.
is it my jacket?
I'm afraid it is. Do you
Okay.
want to handle this?
Okay, I want to wrangle it. My jacket has been on display this morning. I genuinely want to know what people think of it. Ian, be honest with me. I know you lied about me and David singing, but what about my jacket? What do you think?
I think it's a cool jacket. It's evocative. It's certainly evocative
But what
in
does it
very
evoke?
many ways.
Frank, why is Ian losing his voice when he's talking, trying to say he
I'm
likes
afraid
your
I'd
jacket?
love to talk more about your jacket, but my voice is totally. Don't know
He's
what's
such a
happened.
diplomat. She's got into politics, Broudie. So the album comes out, as I say, See You in the Stars, October the 14th. But you're also on tour
Yes.
with Badly Drawn Boy.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Badly Drawn Boy, so I was thrilled. I think we'll complement each other really well, on the evening, and it's great to actually do a tour. I'm not that prolific releasing albums, so
It's been 13 years, I think, since the last one. Not that
count as
prolific.
Not prolific. So it's great because we'll get to play all the songs everyone likes to hear, but a few new ones as well, a couple of new ones, a couple of songs we don't usually play. I think so I'm really looking forward to it.
How do you handle? Do you play Three Lions on your tour?
We do sometimes, yeah.
So who?
Yeah.
When you say sometimes, do you do all the vocals?
I do all the vocals.
But
Yeah, no, we have a hologram of you.
yeah. Oh, that'd
Did you not know about that?
No one told
We
me
have-
about the
we have a
hologram.
of you
Oh, surely
in
I
the
should have been
jacket.
asked.
In the jacket.
I'm glad you've said that, though. If I am seen leaving the scene of a crime in that jacket, I can claim it was the hologram.
The
What an
crime's been
alibi.
already committed once you put the jacket on.
Aye, sir.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So I'm going to ask you, Ian, are you going to do another version of Three Lions for the World Cup?
That's a very leading question. I don't usually like to talk about it.
What do you think? It'd be a
If
good
you
idea.
were me, what would you do?
I think it'd be good. It's an unusual sort of World Cup and different time of the year.
Maybe we should have a chat about that, maybe.
Yeah, we left this a bit late. We're filming the video on Thursday.
Wait, what?
Hang on.
Are you serious?
Sorry, is it a secret?
I don't know. I
Okay.
didn't know, but yeah. No.
Is this real? This is so exciting.
An exclusive.
Well, should I not have said it? Oh, it's all right. I don't understand. Why is it a big secret? It's fine,
I don't
isn't
know, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
It's not anymore.
I think it'd be a good idea.
it? Yeah.
I think you two
Let's
should.
hope so. Let's hope it
Let's
turns out
write
to
the
be
song
one.
on the way.
I've also got to sign 5,000 copies of the vinyl on Friday.
Me too.
Mm.
Looking forward
Anyway.
to that.
How's the secret going?
Shall we sing it? Shall I do the first line?
I think you might have to do it. All my throat is.
Okay. Shall I do the first line?
Do the first
I
line.
won't say where it goes, but it begins like this. Loving that lioness's win. And then it goes on from there to discuss. To remember the failure as well as this great moment. Anyway, well, that'll be good.
I'm so excited. I can't even
I've
speak.
got a hot flush on.
You're not the only one in the room, dear.
Look, it's fine. I'm sure someone said it was in a French magazine. I think it was exposed in a French magazine.
Yeah.
As so many things are.
Is that right?
Well, just, the French.
Oh, okay.
No, well, I think it's a very good idea. I'm really intrigued to know what it's going to be like with the World Cup at Christmas.
Yeah.
It's,
Oh, Ian, are you going to get the little bells out? I love a bell. I love a bell in the studio.
Well, now.
Can't give anything away.
I'm playing it next. I'm not. I'm really not. I'm not. Just playing it off my phone. Anyway, it's very exciting, and spending time with Ian Broudie in a recording studio is a very exciting thing because, I can say, he's the man. He knows all the stuff, and we actually did a bit in. This was cool, on top of Ian's house in his sort of attic recording studio, and all these posters of the Beatles putting pressure on the guests. Yeah, and it was exciting. I don't think I told you on the day, but being in your private studio really felt, wow, it's a thing.
It was a good day.
Anyway, we'll just edit that link out.
Is this live?
It is. Oh, is it live? Oh, whoops.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Ian Broudie is our guest this morning, and can I just remind you that Lightning Seed's new single, Emily Smiles, is that out now, Ian?
I think it's out now, yeah.
Yeah, and sorry I didn't turn you up again. I'm not used to this many faders. It's out now, he said. I'll do the voice. No, it's out now. And new album, See You in the Stars, October the 14th. And the tour with Badly Drawn Boy starts at Cambridge on October the 27th. So check out the Lightning Seeds product.
In a town near you.
Yes. Now, I've got to ask you one question. You produced Marky Smith.
I did.
How was that?
We got on really well, myself and Mark. I think, or from my end, we did. Anyway,
Yeah.
he might have said something different, but I don't think so. So we got on really well. And I think I always, when I was producing, when people were supposed to be quite awkward, I never found them to be awkward. He was very encouraging.
Why's everyone looking at me?
It's not true what they say about you.
No.
And I'm here to set the record straight.
Okay, well, we'll leave it there. No, because, obviously you do hear stories about him insisting that the recording the whole album onto a cassette player and then...
No, we went through those conversations, and I mean there was a logic to what he used to say. It was just an incorrect, slightly logic, but he was, I would say, he was a one-off, which I love, and his focus wasn't the things that most people are focused on when you made a record. But when you got into the logic of what he was saying, he was by no means stupid, and and you could understand why he was saying what he was saying. So when we chatted about it, I think that's why we were able to sort things out like that,
And you were brave enough to argue back.
we're stupid enough to argue back, yeah.
Well, it's because you're touring with Badly Drawn Boy, and Badly Drawn Boy tells a story about leaving a Manchester club or pulling up outside a Manchester club. Marky Smith thinks he's a cab driver, gets in the back of the car, tells him the address, and Badly Drawn Boy is so frightened of Marky Smith, he drives him home. Marky Smith tries to pay with his jacket, and he says, no, it's all right.
Shame you didn't do that.
Yeah, it would have been a short ride. And then 2 days later, a mate gets in the back of Badly Drawn Boy's car and says, do you know there's a set of false teeth in here that have fallen from Marky Smith on the journey? So, I mean, obviously, as you know, I love Marky Smith, but I might be a bit frightened about being his producer. But well done. What you did? I Am Curious Orange.
Yeah, we did a couple of things. We because it was quite an intimidating start, because I think he'd always like test you out, you know. So I remember the first time I think I met him at the studio when we were gonna do a song called Hey Luciani that we
yes, of course, about John Paul I.
Yeah, and I remember he said the song's called Hey Luciani. I'm going to the pub. The band aren't here yet. Could you sort the drums out? And I said, well, I've never heard the song. And he said to me, they should just be like a snake, and left. And I remember thinking, that's a tough brief, that.
Oh, first time I met him, he was an hour late and said, all right, Stuart, how are you? Anyway, Ian, it's been great talking to you.
Thank you.
And thanks for sharing the news about Three Lions with us.
Lovely chatting. I'm glad I brought it up in the end.
So look, go check out the Lightning Sid single album and To Us. Oh, and don't forget to get your tickets for Absolute Radio live from the Absolute Radio website. That's an evening of comedy at the London Palladium on the 27th of November for the Teenage Cancer Trust. And there's lots of big comedians on it. Ramesh Rangan, Nathan, Ed Byrne, Mad Ford, Kerry Godliman, Chris McCausland and Zoe Lyons are on. But of course it's hosted by the Master.
Oh,
okay,
God.
so
Sorry, Ian.
So thanks for listening. If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.